artificial, system online.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're kicking off a conversation that is, well, I think it's frankly long overdue for most working professionals.
I'd say so. It feels like the conversation that everybody's having in private, but maybe not out in the open in a structured way.
Exactly. So we're starting our first comprehensive curriculum. We're calling it Surviving AI.
Mm-hmm.
For years, it feels like we've all talked about AI as this, theoretical future threat, something for the next generation, maybe in 2040.
Right. Something on the horizon.
But the core idea, the whole premise of this series is blunt. It's immediate. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here.
And that's not hype. That reality isn't based on, some blogger speculation. It's grounded in hard, immediate numbers from the job market right now.
Okay, so this isn't a drill.
Not at all. It's definitely not science fiction. As of 2025 alone, get this, 76,440 people have already lost their jobs, specifically to AI and automation initiatives. And that statistic, if you really let it sink in, it should stop you in your tracks.
It absolutely should. And that's why this deep dive is designed to be a practical survival guide for right now, for the present.
Exactly.
We're not getting into a philosophical debate about whether AI is sentient. Our sources, which you brought to the table, are, I think, critical here.
Yeah, we're sticking to the facts. We're pulling from academic economic studies, so things published in places like the Quarterly Journal of Economics.
Yeah.
And then we're pairing that with real-time industry reports from the big consulting firms.
Mm-hmm.
PwC, McKinsey, Gartner, the people advising the C-suite.
So our mission today is really laser-focused. It's about cutting through all that noise and finding the specific, concrete timelines.
Yes, we're not talking about someday. We're talking about 2027 to 2030. That is the window where you need to have a concrete plan of action.
Right. So we're here to establish those actionable frameworks you need to assess your own personal career risk. And I think this is the key part, to adapt. Starting now.
Starting today.
Today we're untacking episode 1. It's called The 88% Risk Your Job is Already Gone. You Just Don't Know It Yet.
It's a provocative title, but it's meant to be.
And to really understand the threat that's coming for white-collar work, we have to first understand the mechanism. Jobs don't just vanish overnight. There's a predictable 3-stage pattern.
A blueprint.
A blueprint that is already played out on the front line.
And that's the key. If you can understand that blueprint for how low-skill, high-volume jobs get automated, you can predict with terrifying accuracy how that same pattern is repeating right now.
But faster.
But exponentially faster. Across data-rich, white-collar jobs. We're talking junior analysts, engineers, even legal associates.
Okay, so let's unpack that blueprint. We have to start with the most visible sort of textbook case of an automation casualty.
The retail cashier.
The retail cashier. And we're not focusing on them to, blame the victim here. We're focusing on them because they represent the clearest, most unavoidable numbers. It's the purest case study for this kind of disruption.
It's the perfect canary in the coal mine. Their work is, by its nature, low skill, high volume, and intensely repetitive. And that combination makes the automation risk almost systemic.
So what are the actual numbers?
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the automation risk for a retail cashier is a staggering 88%.
88. That's near total replacement.
It represents a near total functional risk, and it's a terrifying predictor for any job that shares those characteristics: repetitive, high volume, low creative judgment.
And it's so important to get a handle on the scale of this loss because people hear a percentage and it doesn't really land. We're talking about 350,000 cashier positions projected to disappear by 2033.
Right, it's just a number. But what is 350,000 people?
To put that in context, that's roughly the population of an entire U.S. city. Think Anaheim, California, or Tampa, Florida.
So an entire city's worth of jobs in one role, just gone.
Gone in under a decade.
Yeah.
And the BLS, they tend to be pretty conservative with their numbers. They actually give an even shorter timeline. They say 335,000 fewer cashier jobs just 6 years from now by 2031.
And this is the point where the fear-mongering narrative usually breaks down, because this isn't some forecast based on, a prototype in a lab somewhere.
Right.
The source material is clear. The technology is already fully deployed. It's profitable, and it is expanding rapidly in the real world as we speak.
Just think about the examples you see every day. Amazon Go didn't just test the concept. They launched fully operational stores with 0 human cashiers.
None.
You walk in, you grab what you want, you walk out. The entire transaction is handled by cameras, sensors, computer vision. The human has been completely abstracted out of the process.
And once Amazon proves the model works, the other giants, they have no choice. They have to follow or they get killed on margins.
So you see Walmart expanding self-checkout in, what, over 1,100 stores now?
CVS, Target, Kroger. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
They're all standardizing this shift. This isn't supplemental labor anymore. This is the core model for replacement. They are strategically removing human cashiers, quarter by quarter, and is driven entirely by the economics.
We really need to internalize what's driving this, because this exact same economic engine is what's now revving up in the white-collar world. This is what you call the 3 stages of Job death.
Yes, it's a predictable, repeatable pattern. We've seen it throughout history.
Let's start with stage 1.
Stage 1. The technology matures. Historically, this is the slowest part of the cycle. You have to work out the bugs.
So for cashiers, what did that look like?
It meant years of development, making the self-checkout kiosks reliable so that they didn't jam every 5 minutes, making sure the system could handle errors, implementing computer vision that was accurate enough to stop theft.
And solving the perpetual problem of needing a human to come over and scan your ID for alcohol.
Exactly. But once the tech achieves that reliable functionality, it's done with stage 1. It's ready.
Which brings us to stage 2, and this is where it gets critical. The economics make sense.
This is the moment the CFO in the boardroom looks at the numbers and says, we have to do this now, or our competitors will crush us.
Let's look at those numbers. A human cashier, let's say they're making $15 an hour, which is often the mandated minimum wage in a lot of places. That costs a company roughly $31,200 a year.
And that's just salary. That doesn't even touch benefits, payroll taxes, training costs, sick days, management overhead.
The total cost is much higher.
Much higher. Now, contrast that staggering operational expense with the tech. A modern, reliable self-checkout kiosk costs about $10,000.
And that's a one-time capital expense.
One time. Plus, maybe a few $100s a year for minimal maintenance.
The math here is, it's just stunningly simple.
It breaks even in less than a year.
That sub-1-year break-even point, that is the financial guillotine we have to understand, because every CFO, every C-suite executive is hunting for that exact formula right now in their own business.
Why would you pay $31,000 a year, every year, forever, for something you can buy once for $10,000?
Which leads, logically, to stage 3, rapid deployment.
Once that financial validation happens, once the profit is proven, it's game over. Competitors have no choice. You either adopt the tech or you get undercut into oblivion, and the job losses just accelerate rapidly.
The analogy you used of the typing pool is perfect.
I think so. In the 1980s, these dedicated pools of typists were essential. They were low-skill, high-volume workers who formatted and transcribed documents all day.
Right. And then word processors came along.
When word processors became reliable and cheap, the economics just flipped overnight. Why pay an entire room of typists when a manager, for the one-time cost of computer and some software, could just do it themselves?
And that job category didn't go away slowly. It evaporated.
It evaporated because the cost difference became completely indefensible.
And this is the central connection for you, the listener, no matter what your job is.
Yes. If this massive accelerating disruption can happen in a low-skill environment like retail, an environment that has way less data density, fewer standardized protocols than, say, an accounting firm or a software company.
Then what happens when that exact same 3-stage pattern hits the data-rich, white-collar world?
The speed of that transition in the cognitive sphere is going to be exponentially greater because the foundation, the data, it's already digital. It's ready to be automated.
Okay, so if the cashier was the vending machine transaction, we're now moving to the cognitive battlefield. Let's start with customer service.
This is the perfect bridge because it mixes those routine structured questions like, how do I reset my password with really complex unstructured problem solving.
And the data here is, well, it's already a disaster for job stability.
The transition is immediate, and it's driven entirely by these phenomenal gains in operational efficiency. Our sources show an 87% reduction in average resolution times when AI is used to help human agents.
87% faster.
And on top of that, the AI tools give the human reps an average of 1.2 hours of their day back, time that can be used to serve more customers or, more likely,
to justify a smaller team.
To justify a lower overall headcount.
The scaling forecasts really confirm this. 95% of all customer interactions are expected to be AI-powered by the end of 2025.
Now, that doesn't mean 95% of the jobs are gone.
Right.
But it does mean 95% of the human work is now being filtered or augmented by a machine. Gartner predicts 80% of organizations will be implementing generative AI in their customer service teams by the end of this year.
The scale is just overwhelming.
It is. They project 10% of agent interactions will be fully automated by 2026. That's up from just 1.6% today.
And by 2027.
By 2027, a quarter of all organizations will use chatbots as their primary customer service channel, the primary one. Companies are seeing a 40% better efficiency metric just by deploying AI before they even scale their human teams.
Which brings us to the Salesforce case study. This isn't a projection. This is the harsh, real-world consequence.
Salesforce, the CRM giant, went all in on AI agent deployment with their internal tool, Agentforce.
And the result was swift.
And brutal. They laid off 4,000 support staff. They cut their headcount in that division from 9,000 down to 5,000 people.
So this wasn't a hypothetical threat. This was immediate, large-scale job replacement, and it was justified entirely by the efficiency gains from the AI agent.
And this is where we have to dig a little deeper. If they laid off 4,000 people because it was so efficient, why did they then have to scale back their reliance on these same systems?
Right. Did that efficiency come with a hidden cost?
That's the question. And this is where it gets really interesting. This is the AI flaw. Salesforce ran headfirst into the big, inevitable snag with generative AI. They were actually forced to scale back their heavy reliance on large language models, LLMs, because of serious reliability issues.
So it wasn't working as well as the initial numbers suggested.
Not for everything. Their senior vice president of product marketing even admitted that executive trust in LLMs declined significantly over the past year.
And what was the fundamental issue?
It's about control. The CTO noted that when the LLMs were given more than 8 instructions at once, they just started omitting things, forgetting directives.
Which is a fundamental flaw for any business task that depends on precision.
Absolutely. And it's compounded by this problem they call AI drift. If a user asks an irrelevant question, like, asking a support agent about the weather,
LLM gets distracted.
it loses focus on its main job, and the whole conversation can fall apart, which then requires a human to jump in and fix it.
Okay, let me try an analogy here. Generative AI, it's like hiring a brilliant poet who is incredibly creative, but also sometimes just makes things up or gets distracted mid-sentence.
That's a great way to put it.
Whereas deterministic automation, the older kind, is like hiring a calculator. It's boring, but it's always reliably accurate.
Exactly. And Salesforce realized that for high-stakes business functions, they needed the calculator. They needed reliable data and predictable outcomes, not just clever, creative AI models that might go off the rails.
So their big strategic pivot is away from that randomness of generative AI and back toward more predictable, deterministic automation.
Which highlights a crucial survival factor for you. Where AI fails, it often fails because it lacks deterministic, predictable outcomes. The human value is increasingly in guaranteeing accuracy and predictability, not just generating raw output.
Okay, let's move beyond customer service. Let's get into 2 core white-collar professions, engineering and legal.
If the threat for customer service was about the volume of communication, the threat here is about the volume of cognitive routine execution.
We're seeing the birth of the AI agent that functions, for all intents and purposes, as a junior engineer.
Yeah.
But at infinite scale.
And the primary example here is Devin. It's been called the world's first AI software engineer.
And it excels at tasks that have clear upfront requirements. The kind of thing that would normally take a human junior engineer, 4 to 8 hours?
Right. But the difference is Devin is infinitely parallelizable. It can handle dozens or hundreds of those tasks all at the same time.
The productivity gains they're undeniable.
Devin is reported to be 4 times faster at real-world problem solving than the standard coding AI tools we had before.
And the company that built it, Cognition, they report that Devin's merged pull request rate, or PR rate, doubled. It went from 34% to 67%.
We should probably unpack that for anyone who's not a developer.
Yeah.
A pull request, a PR, it's like checked homework.
Okay.
It means the junior engineer, or in this case the AI, has finished a block of work and submitted it for a senior manager to review and then merge into the main system.
So doubling that success rate means the AI is delivering finished, usable products at twice the rate of previous tools.
Correct. And companies are seeing massive efficiency gains on specific, usually tedious enterprise tasks.
Like what?
For fixing common security vulnerabilities, one large company reported a 20x efficiency gain. Human developers took about 30 minutes per fix. Devin did it in 1.5 minutes.
20 times faster.
And look at migrations, modernizing old systems, the maintenance tasks that engineers hate doing.
The data plumbing.
Exactly. The necessary but boring stuff. A large bank was migrating hundreds of thousands of old ETL framework files.
And for anyone listening, ETL is extract, transform, load. It's the backbone of how companies move and structure their data.
The very definition of necessary, repetitive, and automatable work. A human took 30 to 40 hours per file. Devin did it in 3 to 4.
A 10x improvement on a massive scale.
But, just like the Salesforce story, there's a crucial caveat. And this is where the human manager becomes essential.
It's the ambiguity problem again.
It's always the ambiguity problem. Devin excels at clear, verifiable tasks, but it struggles profoundly with ambiguity. Just like a human junior engineer, it can't independently tackle a vague project using its own judgment.
And it performs worse if the goalposts move mid-task.
Significantly worse. It requires high-level human oversight to manage those scope changes.
So the conclusion here is that the human job shifts completely. You go from being the executor to being the manager of the AI.
Exactly. You are no longer paid to write the routine code. You are paid to specify the precise requirements, manage the output, and handle the inevitable mid-task changes that require high-level judgment.
Now let's pivot that to the legal profession. I mean, traditionally, legal work was seen as this highly protected, human-centric field.
It was. But the routine tasks where new lawyers cut their teeth, that whole apprenticeship model, is intensely vulnerable to this automation wave.
So what are we talking about here?
We're talking about the high-volume, low-judgment tasks. Drafting basic legal documents. Doing an initial contract review to find all the boilerplate clauses.
Summarizing mountains of case law for preliminary research.
All of it. These are all easily standardized and automated by AI systems that can sift through that data exponentially faster than any first-year associate ever could.
And the consequence of that is really significant for anyone new entering the field.
It is. A study out of the University of Sydney found that recent law graduates who are heavily concentrated in these entry-level paralegal and junior associate roles, they're going to suffer disproportionately as these first rungs on the ladder just start to disappear.
This creates what you call the severing of the career ladder.
Yes, and this implication goes far beyond any single profession. We are seeing a contraction of entry-level jobs across the board.
What's the data on that?
Entry-level job postings, relative to the 5-year average, fell by a staggering 45% in the first quarter of 2025.
45%.
In the UK, graduate positions in tech specifically saw a 46% drop compared to the year before, with another cut of 53% projected by 2026.
This is the long-term systemic danger for every industry. Entry-level jobs are that crucial first rung.
It's where you learn the ropes. Young talent does the routine work in exchange for hands-on experience, training, mentorship.
And if AI automates that routine foundational work, the contract drafting, the data processing, the basic coding, that rung just vanishes.
The scary part is what happens 5 or 10 years from now. Companies are going to face a massive skills shortage among their mid-level managers.
Because they never got the foundational experience.
The work was automated before they ever got a chance to do it. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon once said, "Learn these skills and you'll have plenty of jobs." We are now watching the mechanism for learning those skills just disappear.
The work is still there, but the apprenticeship path to mastering it is closing.
It's closing fast.
Okay, we've covered the risk, the mechanism, it's pretty stark. Now we need to move past the doom narrative and look at the data showing where value is actually rising, because this is where the survival strategy really begins.
Right. The story isn't just about jobs disappearing. It's about roles changing and, in some key cases, becoming exponentially more valuable.
We have to counter that initial fear with this paradox that PwC found in their global AI jobs barometer.
This is a fascinating finding. They found that wages are rising 2 times faster in industries that are most exposed to AI compared to those least exposed.
So wait, the more AI risk your industry has, the faster your wages are going up.
That's what the data says. It suggests AI is making workers significantly more valuable, not less. But there's a massive condition attached to that value increase.
And that condition is adaptation.
It's always adaptation. The same report notes that the skills required for these AI-exposed jobs are changing 66% faster than for other jobs.
So if you adapt, you're rewarded. If you don't, you become obsolete.
It's a binary choice. It really is.
And this aligns with the World Economic Forum's forecast. They're predicting 92 million jobs will be displaced by 2030.
They also project 170 million new jobs will be created.
Yeah.
That's a net gain of 78 million jobs.
So the value isn't vanishing, it's migrating. It's moving up the skill chain and across industries. The question is, are you ready to follow it? To really understand how a human worker becomes more valuable with AI, we have to look at this landmark academic study. It was published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics.
Yes, this study is so important. They analyzed 5,172 customer support agents who are using generative AI assistants. This gives us the clearest look at the real-world augmentation effect.
And the core finding was pretty clear and measurable.
Very clear. Access to the AI tool increased worker productivity, measured by issues resolved per hour, by 15% on average.
And they were faster, too.
Yep. Agents had a lower average handle time. 35 minutes with AI versus 40 minutes before AI. That is the definition of augmentation. The machine made the human faster.
But here is the genuine aha moment, the part that completely shifts how you should think about your own vulnerability.
This is the crucial nuance. The impact of the AI varied significantly based on the worker's skill level before they got the tool.
Okay, break that down.
The data show that the less experienced and lower skilled workers saw the greatest gains, both in speed and in the quality of their output.
So the bottom performers got the biggest boost.
By far, agents with less than 1 month of tenure improved by 0.7 resolutions per hour, which is enormous for a rookie. The AI even improved the English fluency of international agents. It acted as this massive productivity boost, raising the floor for everyone.
Conversely, and this is the paradox that I've really been wrestling with, the most experienced, the highest skilled workers, they saw only small gains in speed.
And, critically, they saw small but statistically significant declines in quality and customer satisfaction.
How is that possible? How does AI make your best workers worse?
The study suggests a couple of really compelling hypotheses. The first is over-reliance. The experienced agents may have trusted the AI suggestions too readily, just sort of bypassing their own specialized nuanced judgment that they've built up over years.
That makes a lot of sense. An expert knows all the exceptions to the rule. They know that in 5% of cases, the standard protocol that the AI suggests is actually the wrong path.
Right. But if the AI is pushing them toward that standard protocol for the sake of efficiency, they lose the very edge that made them an expert in the first place.
The AI forces them to operate at the median, not at their peak.
Perfectly said. The AI is primarily a democratization tool. It raises the floor for everyone by automating routine knowledge and providing best practice suggestions in real time.
When you raise the floor for the least skilled workers, the competition for those mid-level standardized tasks just intensifies dramatically.
Yes. If a brand new hire, augmented by AI, can now perform at 85% of the level of an expensive 5-year veteran, what justification does the company have for maintaining that veteran salary?
The AI makes the median worker better, but it shrinks the visible gap between the best workers and everyone else, at least on the company's balance sheet.
And this is the fundamental reason why those mid-level and junior roles are contracting so rapidly. Their work, their knowledge has been codified, standardized, and then distributed to everyone else via the AI.
So if the game has completely changed and this automation blueprint is so clearly established, what is the new role for the human worker?
It's not about competing with the AI on speed. It can't be. It's about applying your human skills to the areas where AI consistently fails.
McKinsey's research confirms this shift. They found 70% of our current skills are still relevant.
But they're applied in radically new contexts.
So we're spending less time on basic research or writing routine code.
And significantly more time framing the right questions, diagnosing complex system interactions, and interpreting the results the AI gives you. The human is moving up the cognitive stack.
You can see this transition most clearly inside the companies that are actually building the AI. Anthropic, the company behind the Claude model, they surveyed their own engineers.
And what they found is that their engineers' roles are changing radically. They report shifting 70% or more of their work to being a code reviewer or a code reviser, rather than a net new code writer.
This is that managerial transition in action.
Absolutely. They no longer see themselves as just coders. They explicitly describe themselves now as managers of AI agents.
So they're delegating tasks to the AI.
Complex but clear-cut tasks. And, critically, the AI can now complete about 20 actions on its own before it needs human input. Just 6 months ago, That number was 10.
The AI is becoming more autonomous, which means the human has to become a better director.
It's also enabling entirely new kinds of work. Anthropic's engineers said that 27% of their AI-assisted work was on tasks that they wouldn't have been done otherwise.
What kind of tasks?
They call them paper cuts. Things like refactoring badly structured code, building new data visualizations, scaling up small projects.
The quality of life improvements and maintenance that always get pushed to the back burner because human hours are too expensive.
Exactly. But with AI handling the grunt work, the human manager can now focus on optimizing and perfecting the entire system. This is where new value is being created, in the deep systemic work that was previously neglected.
So this is the blueprint for resilience. It comes from experts who are focused on this career transition. You have to focus on the durable skills that complement AI.
Complacency is the single biggest career risk you face today.
So what are these new meta skills?
There are 3 you should focus on over the next 2 years. First, AI orchestration.
And AI orchestration isn't just, typing a basic prompt into a chat window.
Not at all. It's the ability to effectively prompt, guide, and chain together multiple AI tools. A generative model here, a deterministic one there, to solve complex, multi-step business problems.
So you're the conductor of the machine symphony. You're translating an ambiguous business need from a client into a clear, unambiguous, testable set of instructions for the AI agents to follow.
Precisely. The second skill is system-level debugging.
AI-generated code or AI-generated legal summaries are often almost right.
Almost right. They introduce subtle, complex errors. You need the skill to diagnose those deep failure modes, the intermittent bugs in the AI-generated code and in the interactions between different systems.
And that requires a true conceptual understanding, not just pattern matching, which the AI can't do yet.
Not at that level. And third is architectural acumen.
Meaning?
It means making sound, holistic design and technology choices that account for the strengths and, crucially, the specific weaknesses and failure modes of the AI systems you're using.
So you have to think about the whole system map, balancing performance, maintainability, and the risk of the AI hallucinating or drifting off course. You have to know where the AI's weaknesses could create a catastrophic failure down the line.
The immediate takeaway for you listening now is you must become an AI power user. It is no longer enough to be a passive consumer of AI output.
You have to master advanced prompt engineering, move beyond simple requests to crafting detailed, context-rich, multi-layered prompts that constrain the AI's output to reduce the chance of error.
And you have to actively learn the specific failure modes of the models you use. That allows you to quickly spot when the AI is making something up or losing focus.
We have to end this segment by just reiterating the critical nature of timing. The people who were laid off, the 4,000 at Salesforce, the engineers across the tech sector, they weren't incompetent.
Not at all. They were just 6 months too late.
They started adapting after the restructuring announcement came down, after the automation had already matured, deployed, and become profitable.
So we're going to give you your first actionable framework. This is something you need to do this week to shift your focus immediately.
This is the first step of the survival plan. First, go to onetonline. That's onet.org.
This is the U.S. Department of Labor's occupational database. It's free, it's incredibly detailed, and it is devastatingly accurate.
Second, you're going to conduct this self-assessment for your current job title on that site. ONET will break down your job, whether you're an accountant, a marketer, an engineer, into these granular, specific tasks and activities.
Don't just look at the high-level description. You have to dive into the specific task list.
Let's walk through an example. Say someone listening is an accountant. If you look up accountant, you'll see tasks like prepare tax returns or analyze financial information.
Those are high risk. They involve data processing and calculation. Highly automatable.
So you need to go deeper. Third, you need to identify 3 tasks on that list that are automation resistant.
For that accountant, the low-risk tasks will be the ones that require complex human judgment, deep and nuanced relationship building, or handling unique, unstructured data.
Okay, so for our accountant, a high-risk automatable task might be process accounts receivable and payable entries.
Right. A low-risk task requiring complex human judgment might be advise a client on the financial implications of selling a family-owned business. That requires emotional intelligence, subjective scenario planning.
Another high-risk one generates standard quarterly financial reports.
And a low-risk one needing nuanced relationship building. Negotiate payment terms with a long-standing, very sensitive vendor whose relationship is critical to the supply chain.
A third high-risk task. Summarize case law on tax liabilities.
And a low-risk one, needing that architectural acumen. Design a new, non-standard internal control structure to mitigate a newly discovered area of fraud risk based on observing subjective, unwritten employee behavior.
And fourth, this is the most critical step of all.
Begin spending more time on those 3 automation-resistant tasks immediately, today. Shift your energy at work, starting tomorrow morning, away from the repetitive, automatable work and toward the tasks that future-proof your role.
The window for this action plan is short, 24 to 36 months. You have to change what you prioritize.
So what does this all mean?
The core conclusion is this. The choice is binary. You adapt or you become obsolete. The pattern is established from the retail frontline, where the math just favors the machine, to the engineering floor, where the machine is now the most productive junior hire you could have.
And the speed of this transition is terrifyingly fast. The time for just being aware is over. The time for preparation has begun.
Let me leave you with a final provocative thought. This comes from the McKinsey data. When employees were asked about AI deployment, they reported significantly higher trust in their employers than in the government to do it safely.
What were the numbers?
73% of employees trust their leaders to deploy AI safely. Only 45% trust the government.
That's a huge gap.
It is, and that trust gives business leaders what you could call permission space to move very, very quickly. Your long-term survival hinges not just on your personal adaptation, but on whether your leadership chooses ambition moving fast to leverage AI for growth or stagnation over the next 18 months.
So you have to align your career with the ambitious, high-growth, high-augmentation parts of your company.
That's heavy, but it's necessary. And that idea of ambition and vulnerability, it leads perfectly into our next deep dive.
Join us next week for Episode 2, The Great Divergence. Why your college degree makes you more vulnerable.
We are going to dissect the data that shows exactly why holding an advanced degree often places you squarely in the path of this white-collar automation wave, and why your high-skill credentials might actually be a liability, not an asset, in the age of AI.
But don't wait for that episode to start your planning. Do the ONED exercise this week. Panic is for the surprised. Preparation is for those who survive.
You're going to be ready. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time on Surviving AI.